Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Spar and Brawl. I hope you're having a decent day. As always, I'm joined by my co-host Sam. I'm back with a new episode of the Four Corners of Geopolitics. So, as always, you can find timestamps down below, and please like and consider subscribing. All right, Sam, let's give a quick rundown. Well, first of all, Katie Halper has slightly ruined today's show because she had this video on that was just amazing. The worst level and style of debating I had ever seen. But now she's put it behind a paywall, which is really unfortunate. We have a small clip from it, but we're going to try to dive into topics, and it's in Sam's realm of expertise. It's about Iran and Middle East, so it should be fun.
Yeah, don't say that. Don't say it like that. I have expertise and all that. No.
He knows about it. He has
yeah, I've
personal
heard about
experience.
lived experience.
Lived experience. Sorry, I forgot. You have lived experience when it comes
No,
to
I don't.
Iran.
I have lived the experience of like one street, and that's barely it. But wow, I mean, you said stylistically thing that it was probably the worst debate ever, or up there. You know, like I'm sure there is some right-wing debate somewhere, but
on like a random channel, right? When there's like two of them like talking simultaneously. Yeah, exactly. That's where you find it, like on Ukraine International or something. I don't know. I just made up a channel, but
yeah, whatever. But also substantively awful. Although I would say one person in like it never got to the level that we could see with one person if she had substance or not. But one person was just like substantively equivalent of a I don't know, like an empty glass of water.
Sorry about that. Got an interruption while we're still doing the intro.
By the way,
Sam, you were saying?
Yeah, criticizing people for lack of professionalism and stylistic, as if we are like in CBS studios.
If like we recorded a video on our first day ever, it wouldn't have been that bad. Like I mean, I have never seen this bad. Anyway, so we'll come to this.
And I don't think it would have been this substantively, to be honest, empty.
Yeah.
Like at least I don't like. Okay, well, let's get into it. But like,
we'll get into it.
Yeah, it was just so awful.
Yeah, let me just finish giving the rest of the lineup then. Then after that, we're going to talk about Syria, Erdogan, Russia, and Iran. Okay, sorry about that as well. Yeah. And then we're going to talk about the UK and the latest frontrunners to become prime minister there, and Sri Lanka, of course. And finally, what's going on in Italy. I feel like the government falls apart every year or two nowadays. Is this them falling apart? Yeah, so we'll talk about it.
Well, yes.
Okay, Sam. Let's get into this. So this clip is actually one part where Katie Halper tried to summarize the arguments and she fails. I mean, partly her fault. The other reason is that they were literally speaking over each other for 5 minutes straight before this. So it's not very clear that she could understand it, especially if she's not, too versed in this topic. So do you want to say anything else to set up, the storyline before we go to this clip and then really get into it? What was the debate about, at least the part that we saw?
I'm not still sure, but I swear to God, I'm not sure what exactly the debate was. Like, there were clearly disagreements on many issues, but it was so funny. Okay, let's set it up like Katie. Katie set it up as like, we've got two experts on, Middle Eastern issues, and, they're going to nicely complement each other in their analysis and all that. And then you had them seeing each other. Oh, I've seen you at the Bernie Sanders camp. Oh, I've seen you at the Bernie Sanders camp. Oh, how are you, buddy? Oh, I love you. Yeah. And then the lady who's of Yemeni origins, Rabia Al-Zaybani or whatever
top
her
right
name
corner is. Here in this shitty video quality.
She started to give she was somewhat positive on Biden's visit to Yemen, and she was saying
Saudi
that,
and
Saudi Arabia, to Saudi Arabia. She was positive about its potential ramifications for the Yemeni civil war, I guess, or Yemeni civil war. I don't know what you call that. Yemeni invasion.
So I didn't actually pick up on that. So what were her points there? So that was early on, I guess.
she was saying that, well, everybody just wants that war to end, and Biden going there, and there's a truce that seems to be working. And she said that Biden going there and talking with different people, and she was very positive about this transitional council, which has taken the place of the Hadi government. Hadi government being the side that is supported by the Saudi Arabia. And she kept saying, and then that's where it started to get tricky, because she started saying that I'm of a Houthi background, she's of a Houthi background, and Houthis are a tribe. We get into the details. Houthis are a tribe in northern Yemen who are they are from a very unique branch of Islam, branch of Shiaism, sorry. So not just Islam. I mean, of course, it's branch of Islam too. But, sorry about that. I'm doing duties as sort of a slash babysitter. But sorry about that. Yes, she's from a Houthi background. And then when she was being positive about the potential positive ramifications of Biden visit to Middle East, then she started also saying that, Houthis are militia. And I didn't even get why she kept bringing that up. Like, I don't know what, look, militia, I don't consider militia necessarily to be a negative term or a slur. Militia, from what I understand, is when like sort of it's almost like a semi-professional army, right? That's what always came to my mind. When they say somebody organized a militia, I always thought he gave weapons to some like men, but they're not necessarily trained or, military, right?
It doesn't have as negative as a connotation as like a mercenary, for example. So it kind of depends on whose side they are and stuff.
Well, yeah, and mercenary is not even a slur. Mercenary is somebody who for money, not for country, not for nation. So it's not terrorist, let's say. She said militia, but I feel like the other lady, Esha, if I'm not mistaken, her name, or whatever, she wasn't even that like upset about the whole militia thing. But then Rabia kept saying, no, you have to admit they are a militia, you have to admit they are a militia. And you're like, okay, they're militia. And they're killing. And then she got into this whole thing. Yeah. And she kept trying to, in my view, Rabia, whatever, she kept trying to sort of smuggle this. I hate it when people, it's kind of like that tactic when people start saying we on the left or we on the civilized world. Like, who's we, motherfucker? Like, you're an individual. Yeah. But she kept smuggling, and Houthis, they are a militia and they have this ideology of Islamism where they believe one man should be above everything and everybody wants democracy. And she didn't even explain, in my view, clearly. I mean, maybe she did. Maybe I've only seen the video once. So, she didn't even clearly explain like the Houthi, what I mean, Houthi ideology, because it's not as simplistic as she put it. That one person is like a absolute ruler. It's not quite like that.
And with all the problems out there, I mean, that wouldn't be on top of my list. List when it comes to anything.
No, if it's let's say like a cult, like a Scientology or moon people, we talked about the Moonies.
But this is clearly not.
That's the impression she gives of it. But
a civil war that's going on. And let me just add one thing. She was doing all the talking, the lady on the top right. I mean, she spoke for 10-15 minutes straight, it felt. Then the lady tried to talk, and then that's when she just spoke over her for 5 minutes straight, and then it leads to this Katie Halper clip that we'll come back to.
And before, and another point of disagreement, she sort of she puts ISIS and Shia groups like the Islamic Revolution in Iran, Khomeini's revolution, sort of in the same category.
That was really weird.
And part of the same continuation. I have something to say about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was another point of the disagreement. But I would say more than that, as you said, she says that, then Aisha, whatever, starts talking. She starts talking over her, and be, in my opinion, extremely condescending.
Yeah, and made personal attacks, if I recall correctly.
personal attacks and this high-minded tactic that I always tell you, I hate personal attacks that you, first of all, like, you know, you don't know, I've been there, I know every Arab person, every Arab knows this, that America, they want America. I mean, fuck you, I know a lot of Arabs that don't agree with you, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of Iranian Arabs. This idiot that as if all Arabs are this middle class urban, you know what I mean, this urban elites. They think that everybody thinks like all the Arabs, all they want is to be independent and America and Soviet Union and to go, fuck you, and Jamal Abdullah. Sorry,
and to your point, she even, another attack that she had, it had more to do with Iran and ISIS. She was like, why do you hate women? Why do you hate women? I mean, that's the lowest form of attack, if you ask me.
That was so bad, why don't you go live in Iran? And Aisha, that was quite funny. She was like, get me a ticket, I'll go. Fuck you.
And trust me, for a foreigner like her, like going in Iran is
it's awesome. Like foreigners have, they like, foreigners, they have fantastic time. I'll get into real, like women have real issues in Iran.
Of course.
Not kid ourselves. But Iran is not that different from, let's say, well, right now, Iran is very similar to conservative states in America. Like it's they just recently, as we discussed in Iran, they banned abortion, not banned abortion, but they said only a judge can now allow a woman to get aborted, even in cases of rape and incest. So it's kind of like a very conservative state in America.
But what about the hijab thing? That was one thing. She was like, you go to Iran and you wear the hijab. And I mean, for a lot of people, hijab is important. But the Aisha lady, she was just like, whatever, forget about the hijab. So I mean,
hijab, I agree, it's not the most important. Well, we get to Iran and stuff, but it's not the most important issue. But it is it's not that unimportant, especially when you live in a country where it is 50 degrees centigrade.
And for liberals, I mean, for like a certain sect of the bourgeoisie or liberals in Iran, like the hijab is everything. Like that's like their prime concern based on my anecdotal evidence and observation. I just know for some people that's like the main one. Yeah, it is symbolic.
It is symbolic, because you know, I mean, look, women issues is not something Iran really can be presented as a good country.
100%.
I mean, then compared to what? And Rabaya is like talking about how MBS is modernizing Arabia to be more in line with Emirates or UAE.
Yeah.
And you're like, Emirates, the great, you know, freedom land, as it is known colloquially. What are you talking? Like, you know what I mean? Like, Iran is not great at all.
Yeah.
Right? But let's not, you know.
But when are we going to discuss the ISIS comparison, though? Because I mean, I do think that was ridiculous. But yeah, we'll get to it.
I also, besides saying that, you should, go to Iran, you hate women and all that. She also, I hate this about the left. Nobody takes us on the left seriously because we do this. I mean, again, motherfucker, no, there's no we with you. First, secondly, nobody takes us, this high-minded, not addressing the substance, but you are so beyond, like, oh God. I don't, and frankly, to be honest, I think the biggest criminal in this show was Katie Halper. He did not intervene at all on behalf of Aisha. It was ridiculous. She did not intervene on behalf of her at all. And then at the very end, when she started to assert herself, because she saw that she has we don't have the longer video. Then Katie Albert is like, no, please, Aisha, I have to let Rabaya has been talking for 45 minutes. I have to let Rabaya give you some more insults. Man, like, it was the most ridiculous thing. I'm sorry, but
Katie Halper probably wasn't listening. Honestly, like, I think she mutes the guest. Like, she invites people. That's like her number one thing. And then she sends you a link. And then when you're on the show, it's kind of up to the guest to do everything. Like, Katie Halper just like says a word. I've made this screenshot joke a bunch of times. I'll make it again. Takes a screenshot and then this video is so funny. So here is when she finally tried to like interject herself. And I recorded this and I sent to Sam, but I didn't think that they're going to take the video down. I imagine they took it down because it was so shit. But Sam said that during the video, Katie said that this is going to be behind a paywall. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, but one more thing I like to add, by the way, there is at some point that the producer, Wilson, I forget.
There's
his name.
another producer for what? What is
You know,
Katie
there's a
doing?
producer. Katie always has a producer. She talks to him all the time. He puts the stuff up. He comes in, and I'm sorry, but these people, are they like? I'm sorry, I was so reminded of my university years. Are these people? Have they not really worked in a professional environment or like ever been with adults or stuff? Because the guy, the producer Wilson, whatever his name is like, guys, I'm sorry, but you can't talk over each other. It's really, I have to mute after 45 minutes of them talking over each other. Now I have to finally interject. And Katie Halper is like, okay, look, Aisha, I think Rabaya is not saying that atrocity. Like, they're such a kiddie. Oh my God, let's not.
Except the Rabia lady, like she was like throwing insults.
Yeah, that's what I mean, university, because you have one fucking psycho usually in the class shouting, somebody who's willing to stand up to the psycho a bit, but usually the rest abandon that person going, fuck it, we're not going to get into it. So it felt a bit like that. And just all the cheaty, we don't want to offend your feelings that you might think we are bad. Like, what is this? Like, what is this? We are getting together for is this a play sort of date or something? Like, are you talking about real issues, or are you supposed to have a garden party? I don't know what's going on. Like, it's really ridiculous the way they talk to each other. And these are the people that criticize mainstream media for being nice to at least in mainstream media, the people that are nice to have some money and power. What do these people have?
No, this is horrible. But yeah, so really sorry. I wish we had a few minutes of the clips when they're talking over each other and all this, but instead
I'll find it.
What we have right now is pretty much Katie Halper like finally like unmute, like put the volume up and realized she's like, okay, I'm gonna have to speak.
Woken up.
Yeah. So let's hear her. Let's see what she had to say.
The benzos have kicked out.
About Saudi Arabia, let's talk about I'm trying to think of something that won't lead to a fight. And I'm sorry, I'm not very good at putting my foot down on this stuff. Okay,
I'm gonna calm down. Let's just go back to that.
We're just discussing.
Okay. I know, but so in terms of Saudi Arabia, I think that there's this thing that happens, maybe just to speak to Rabia's point, which is that sometimes actually I think we can. There's more. Maybe there's can sometimes be a lack of nuance that's frustrating, but I also think that it's always good to look at what's really motivating governments, including the United States.
Oil production.
So, right. I mean, I think we would agree with that, right? That's something we probably.
Oh my God, man! I forgot how bad it is. All that, and then she's like, "There's a lack of nuance." She gathered her thoughts.
I agree.
Man, that was worse than I thought.
But this is not really. I thought it might be. I forgot. This doesn't cover any of their fight. They really get into the fight.
No, they were already fighting, man. Before this,
they were already fighting, but after this, it really gets personal. I feel like, and then it gets like. The Aisha lady, whatever, the one on the bottom, she's talking, and I swear to God, she does this. By the way, it's a very common Middle Eastern thing, and I think Jewish people in America can also attest to that somebody's like doing a talk, and then you have like a cousin, usually an aunt, not moms, usually an aunt, maybe an aunt that maybe has not married, or like just going making weird noises and just saying Allah and like bringing God's name, and then and then literally she's doing that. She's like
who, Rabia or the Aisha?
Rabia is doing that. Aisha is like saying, Aisha is going about how literacy rate in Iran, I don't know, whatever happened to literacy rate, and Aisha is like
honestly, Katie Halper should have like apologized to her. I think after
Aisha?
the
Yeah, I think
interview.
so.
Yeah, to the lady
I
at the,
think
in
so.
the bottom. She should
Bottom.
have
And I
apologized
don't
to her.
even agree with her at all.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you can't
I
even
don't
get,
know. I
but
don't
she
know.
didn't
I
get
don't
to
know.
speak though.
Yeah, she
The
didn't
poor
get to
lady.
speak. She didn't get to speak at
She
all.
had one stat that she kept on throwing
Yeah,
around, which is that
she couldn't finish her thought.
yeah, pre-revolution Iran literacy rate was 30% for women, and now it's 100%. That's all she she kept on saying with it.
And she used that as a way to differentiate, because Rabaya, let's get into the substance now, I guess.
Please.
So Rabaya, I mean, we are done with this stylistically. It was shit, basically. But hopefully we find some more videos to make fun of. But substantively, Rabaya's argument, and I'm being extremely charitable because she's extremely uneducated, I think. She doesn't know shit from shit.
Unpleasant, I'll give you that.
Unpleasant for sure, but I don't think she knows really. She keeps thinking that she knows, because I'm a hood, I'm an Arab. I'm an Arab. Okay, you're an Arab. It doesn't make you an expert in Arab studies, or you because you're Yemeni. Yeah, I'm a Shia, guys. Please, everybody, shut up about Shia history. I am the only one allowed to talk. Fuck off. So she's substantively, what she's saying that is that much like Islamists in Iran that did the Islamic Revolution, Houthis are seeking to put in a sort of a Islamic government in place in which a single man, or I guess maybe a group of a single man, that's very crucial in Shiaism. So a single man is going to be in charge, and there is not going to be democracy. And at the same time that she puts these two things together, she puts ISIS and all these sort of Salafist movements in there with them.
Mm-hmm.
And being extremely charitable, this is not that, this is not a completely crazy idea and an out of bound idea. For example, as I've mentioned before, a number of historians have pointed out that, have said, I disagree with this personally, but you know, I think this is a majority agree, that they say Khomeini in Iran was influenced by Sayyid Qutb in Egypt, who was a father of the Akhwan al-Muslimin, the Muslim brother. So this is what, I don't agree with that necessarily, but it has been, there is significant amount of literature on that. And then there are many people who argue that Khomeini's revolution proved to all Islamists of all kinds, not just Shia, of the potential power of Islam as a political force and as a military force in a way. And because it is definitely true, although I think if you live in Iran, you understand how much bullshit it is. But in their rhetoric, they use this very much, the original people who made the language of martyrdom and dying for a cause popular were the Iranian revolutionaries. They were the people who originally used it. It is complete bullshit. Like in Iran, it's just like, in Iran, it's kind of like in America, like somebody saying, you know, what was it? Somebody saying, like somebody at the rally just saying, you know, fuck yeah, USA or something. You know what I mean? It just doesn't mean anything. Martyrdom doesn't really mean anything, but they used it rhetorically, especially to spread their influence within Middle East.
But what about
Lebanon, in Pakistan, and in South Asia?
But what about the Iraq war? That's what I hear a lot in Iran about martyrs, right?
Yeah, they're exactly. It's professional soldiers. You never had it like, you know, you had human wave attacks in Iran-Iraq war. Those are also considered martyrs. But you never had like, Iran has never, even in the sort of, Iran has never hit civilian targets of America. Like, for example, the biggest thing Iran has ever done, even that's through a proxy, Hezbollah, was 1982 bombing of the US Marines in Lebanon, and that was a US Marines building. It wasn't a civilian building. So Iran used the language, use a very fire language that it's not for Iran, it's for abroad consumption. And the others, famously, I can point out to Adam Curtis's documentary. I forget which one it is, but maybe it's hyper normalization, but I forget. But he also draws the comparison between Khomeini, Hafiz al-Assad, and the later versions of terrorism. And I kind of see in that understanding, I kind of see the connections, the similarities between them. But I think what Rabia Al-Zaibani or whatever is implying is far more crude and far more simplistic. But I just thought substantively, I just give this background.
I see. There's that connection.
Interesting for people.
I see. But I mean,
Like,
I didn't
I
hear the
don't
Houthi part at all. For me, I was just like thinking, if you take the current Iranian government, Islamic Republic, which is a government that manages country and manages the foreign policy and everything, it's just such a, comparing that to a terrorist organization, a dying one too, or a diminishing one. It's not even on its way of growing and becoming like a state or something. I just found that at that level to be just absurd. But I'm seeing you're making connections from like the early days and like structurally or like rhetorically.
No,
you can find
the main similarity is the main similarity is the use of Islam as a social force.
I mean, that's a very low level of similarity, but yeah, that's like a common denominator that is, I mean, of course, because I mean, all those countries in the region consider themselves as religious Islamic countries, so I'm sure they all use Islam for what did you say? Social what?
Social force,
social
or
force.
Political
I mean,
force.
Saudi Arabia, UAE, everywhere. I mean,
no, it's used as yes, but political Islam as a concept, like they are in a way
like Sharia law and stuff like this. Like
Sharia law. By the way, Sharia law is every
it's law.
like it's just law. Every
no,
Islamic
the word Sharia scares the shit out of you. You say Sharia, like okay.
Shit. Calm down, but no, but they're monarchical in a sense. They are monarchical in a European. So I mean, they're bullshit states. I'm sorry to be so blunt, but they're all bullshit states, frankly. Maybe besides Oman, they're all bullshit. So
they're
a way,
new states, some of them, but
they're new states. Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't say Saudi, because I wouldn't say that Saudi Arabia is like the UAE. I mean, it has far more like it has a longer history and governance and really. All this. I mean,
what? No, it doesn't.
Double, I guess. Like UAE kind of starts 70s, 80s. They start like 40s, 50s. So
okay,
a little bit of
nothing.
And the population also. Like Saudi Arabia. I don't have the stats right now, but I'm guessing
40. I think around 40.
40% are Saudi.
Oh, 40 million. Sorry.
Oh no. What percentage of them are Saudi? Because in the UAE, UAE nationals are a minority, like as much as minority, like around 12%, if I'm not mistaken. So I also distinguish between those countries a little bit in that way. So I think it's a bit unfair in that sense. But
look, it should have been one country called Hijaz. That was the plan, or that was the plan with the British. Yeah, because that area is called Hijaz. The whole,
I never heard that one.
That part of Arabian Peninsula. It was supposed to be all one country. All should have been a Hashemite kingdom, and but they divided up. So it's a bit weird. But yeah, in Islamic Revolution showed it as a political Islam. Like you could argue there is a difference between the clergy and the royal family in Jordan and Saudi Arabia, but there is not that difference in Iran.
That is definitely true.
That's basically it. Yeah. And I don't think it matters too much, but I've never been big on secularism, as we've discussed. But yeah, I mean, look, but I'm being very charitable, by the way. I don't think from the way she was talking and the things she said, I don't know if Rabia Al-Ziabani or whatever was thinking of these. But it is an argument that there is genuine thought and literature behind it. But it's not in the same way that, of course, it's ridiculous to compare ISIS and, Shia groups, because
not Shia groups, like the government Shia of a country.
Governments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever they are, right? Whatever. Yeah. I see. I guess I feel like you understand better when people are like talking over to each other. I mean, to be fair, Rabia got to make her points because the lady in the bottom wasn't actually speaking over her. So
No,
Rabia
she
did
wasn't.
get. And then here
she kept saying, "Can I please make this one point about
no, you just
literacy?"
made 50.
And everybody just, "No, you can't." Shut up.
Wait, where's the part where she's like using her? Where is it? We were laughing at it.
The fan?
Yeah.
She uses her mask. I think it's her mask as a fan. I don't know. It looks like oh man, yeah, she was just fanning.
This was something else. So I can't believe I didn't make it to the producer. But okay, should we move on to the Twitter pages and all that and that video clip?
Yeah, and then we go back to more. I think we gave our thoughts about the debate and all that, but I like to point, just like I gave a substantive sort of take on Rabia's thing. I like to address the one fact that Aisha the poor lady was allowed to bring up. But before that, I went on their Twitter page, and I found their Twitter page extremely weird and fascinating.
But before we get there, we also have this one clip. Should we play that one first? But so this one is, let me just set up.
Such a weird clip.
This is on just Russia, Ukraine.
But yeah, this is, by the way, a perfect clip as a sort of a syndicate of the what was the whole thing like. That was the level of the debate. It was this, like, name calling, like rhetorically. Just look, I mean, in my view. You can go full screen, by the way.
It's just 8 seconds.
So they have Nazis and they've got baby rapers, right? And so that's okay. That justifies Putin coming into Ukraine. And
yes, it does.
So they have Nazis and they've got baby rapers, right? And so that's okay. That justifies Putin coming into Ukraine. And
yes, it does.
Where's the baby raper thing? I've never heard of that, but if that's the case, that is definitely a justifiable reason, I think, to
that's the thing. I mean, especially debates, when sometimes it gets into a minutia of details like this, it gets really, like, even not helpful, because Aisha, whatever, brings up a case that apparently has been confirmed. According to her, they don't play a video. She keeps saying, this is another thing she keeps, like, it's like the literacy, like, please play this video. And they're like, Rabia just keeps talking. But she says that there has been a case of, as she mentioned, I don't even want to fucking say it, and Ukrainian courts have actually confirmed this, that one of those, Nazi battalions, not Azov, but one of those similar things, have done something like that. And Ukrainian courts have confirmed this. And again, I'm usually like, I usually think not in all cases, but usually people don't invade other people because, like, you invade other people because of your interest,
100%.
Not because you want to help them. But if there is ever an excuse to invade someone, like, that is as good as it's gonna fucking get. Seriously. Nazis doing that. But not that, I mean, like, of course a bomb can kill many more babies. I don't know. But it's just the debate got basically reduced. This is more towards the end. But yes, Aisha kept saying there's a video of there's apparently video of the actual event happening, which is this. And there's also a video of some, like, judge talking about it, and I don't even, what the fuck and look, by the way, when there is I don't know, I saw somebody saying that recently, but when there is a war going on, I don't understand, in Yemen or in Ukraine, I don't understand this emphasis on, like, saying I know what is going on, and like, how could anyone, like, Vietnam finished like 50 years ago, we are still finding out, like, new things about it, like,
no, exactly. Too funny. And here, do you think Katie Halper's trying to understand what they're saying, or do you think she's trying to take a screenshot? Joking.
I think she's just reading a different article about something else. Yeah, that's funny. Cat memes. So don't close the page of her Twitter.
No, I have it open fully. Which one? Who do you want to start with?
No, go back to the other one. Eshal. All right, go up. Look, first of all, it was really funny because she was introduced as a writer for Grey Zone, right?
Yeah.
And Grey Zone is not in her bio, right? That I found weird. And then she's put their picture of a Hitler. And the thing that
picture of Hitler?
not Hitler,
No,
Stalin.
Stalin.
There's a picture of a Stalin.
Yeah, true.
And she's a Marxist or whatever. I like to point out, I'm not, if she seems to like a Stalin, she seems to be a Marxist and stuff. But the 2 points that I'm gonna very much disagree with her, and I'm gonna, somebody puts up a Stalin's picture, say, what the fuck? Like, you have no right, I guess, to say this, or no, you have the right to say this. What am I saying? It's just, it's weird that she called Shah a puppet.
Mm-hmm.
She called Shah a puppet in the debate, and when they were talking about the whole, you know, ISIS and Islamic Republic being similar. She also kept bringing up the literacy rate during Shah being lower and now being higher, which is, yeah, okay. Well, I'm going to talk about that very specifically. But the whole Shah is a puppet thing is a fucking bullshit. It's equivalent of saying Stalin was a puppet because he had meetings with Roosevelt. I don't know if the left knows this, but Stalin worked with Churchill and Roosevelt to, you know, defeat Nazis. I don't know if they remember that, but yeah. Man, sorry, go ahead.
No, nothing. I just wanted to say, like, you know, one thing that you always have to take into consideration, and whenever you say like, oh, like 40 years ago there was literacy rates with this, right? Literally, like, yeah, over 40 years ago it was this,
just over 40.
And now it's this, right? Sure, you can point to the change of government, but some things also have like overall global, like, kind of trends that are going, right? So even if you put me like in charge of the country, the literacy rate would have gone up. So you need to also like point out as to some of the differences that they've done. Like here, it's actually, you know, I've heard so much like good stuff about the Shah that I would jump to any stat that kind of makes them look bad just because, you know, been told so much. But to be fair, anytime someone presents these, you just have to also look like, was this part of the trend, you know, like globally and with differences that are making new ideologies everywhere. So, you know, even under the Shah, now, Iranian literacy rate would have probably been near 100%, I would imagine.
Oh, it would have been much better even.
Yeah, or maybe even higher. For females.
Higher than 100%.
True. Maybe for like university or something. Yeah, sorry, yeah, of course.
No, yeah, I mean, the education standards would have definitely been higher had the revolution not happened. I mean, there is no doubt beyond that. I mean, I'll get into my evidence, but before getting to this substantive, so the substantive disagreement is that Shah is a puppet, and the statistics that she discusses is a proof that Iran has developed better under a revolutionary government than under what would have been. So, but the Twitter page doesn't mention the gray zone, and it's, you know, that the picture of Stalin, because if you're going to criticize Shah, I would have thought she's, you know, one of these social democratic left, not like in democratic party sense, in a European sense type, you know. Well, anyway, but now go to the other lady, go to Rabaya, whatever.
Oh no, I don't want to.
No, go. It was very funny. She's followed by Aaron Matta, and I believe it was even Max Blumenthal. And then go down. Guess who she retweeted? Keep going down. I saw she retweeted this person.
By the way, these are all from, let me just tell you, these are all from yesterday. So she tweets a lot. Katie Halper show, full show.
No.
Unbelievable. No, I know.
It's unbelievable. Oh, we have to talk about this, by the way. This is one of the funniest videos ever. Biden admits to having cancer. Go down.
Suraj Patel? No, huh?
No.
David
somebody you know.
Jimmy.
Jimmy Dore. And then she wasn't, I don't know, yesterday, I think the other lady wasn't followed by Aaron Matta, who works at Grey Zone. And then I'm very confused at what's going on. Like, these two ladies have this like alignments politically. I am with Jimmy Dore and Joe Biden. These are my two guys.
Yeah, that is weird. And people in the comment section kept on calling her liberal.
I get because he was slightly positive on Joe
Yeah.
Biden, but something which again I have some sympathy for her, because as an Iranian, I am somebody who always said I don't want America to meddle in our issues like capital punishment, women's. To be honest, because they usually fuck it up. If they had once meddled in a positive way, I would have maybe felt differently. But anyway, or any country, I feel like it seems to be better if countries don't meddle, right? But then when it comes to Saudi Arabia, suddenly the left is like, why doesn't Biden do this? Why doesn't Biden do that? It's like, why would he? Like, this is Saudi, like, this is not your fucking country. Stop talking about Saudi Arabia as if it's your fucking gas station. I mean, I hope Saudi Arabia falls apart and there is the United Kingdom of Hijaz, but like, but at the same time, I can't really, in good conscience, I can't why doesn't Joe Biden stand up for human rights in Saudi Arabia? Like, it's none of his fucking business. That's why. Like, sorry.
Very, 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 very well put. Anything else you on the Twitter pages that caught your attention? Yeah, the gray zone thing is a bit interesting. Although she said her last article came out 2 months ago on the gray zone, but yeah, she had a profile apparently the gray zone because that was a little story in the beginning.
Katie,
man.
But she was, by the way, the problem is, though, I feel bad criticizing her because she seemed far more substantive than the other person, but she didn't get to talk. So,
and she could have been more open to other ideas if,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, she might have been more nuanced, but she was allowed to say, I have one fact and one video. Please, let me.
Yeah, and honestly, Katie Halper, should send her an apology, if you ask me.
I mean, look.
That was terrible. It's like inviting people to your house as a guest, and then you pretty much go and chill in the basement by herself. She was doing like the video Zoom version of that.
It's genuinely, it's not even something that doesn't happen.
And make your own food and stuff.
No, when you go to somebody's house and like they're a couple or something, or like they're like housemates, and one of them wasn't okay with the party or some shit, and the whole time they're on the couch on their phone. Like, what am I here? Like, I'm the guest. I'm not supposed to be the one balancing this shit out. Do your duties as a host.
Seriously,
it was genuinely So yeah.
That was something, and now it's behind a paywall. What a video that's definitely worth behind a paywall. I mean, anybody, Katie Halper, she should have definitely not put that video with the quality of the debate behind a paywall where people are paying her $5 or $10.
But that's what people pay for, the drama. Otherwise,
true. We're tempted of getting it.
I'm tempted, yeah. Seriously. I mean, I would like to add, right now you can watch Foucault and Noam Chomsky have a debate on YouTube for free. But people, you know what I mean? Like, that's humanity. You know what I mean? But yeah, these two greats. I mean, one of them is a genuine great mind, the Rabaya, whatever.
Yeah. No, Rabaya, Rabaya, she needs to get together with Nomiki Kunz. Like, imagine the two of them like campaigning for someone.
Fanning.
I'm
Greek. I'm a Yemeni. I know Arabs. All the Arabs are my friends.
I'm Greek.
I put a curse on you, Astoria.
I swear, Nomiki Kunz thinks like at the end of the election, they're gonna give her like a pop quiz of her neighborhood, and whoever knows neighborhood better like wins. Like, I think she thinks that's how an election is decided at the end. Like, okay, we both have 5 questions. Where was the original McDonald's located in 83? Go.
Within Astoria. To be clear.
And you have Sam Sater back there going, so the street behind 9th Street? Yeah, not that one.
Nah, Rabia talking about how Yemenis all think the same.
Okay, should we move on to more of your points about this?
So now let's get to the boring vegetables a bit. I wanted to substantively respond to some of the criticism.
Okay. All right, Sam. So yeah, tell us about this photo and more, please.
So I think famously, it is said that there are three kinds of. I think it's a quote by Benjamin, the Israeli British Prime Minister. There is three kinds of lies: lies, damn lies, and statistics. And I think what we had with this case of literacy rate in Iran going from, I believe, around 30 to 20% to for women, and I believe like it might have been 50 to 60% for men, and now it's much higher. And I think we can also connect this to something we like to talk about, which is the Weberian concept of instrumental rationality, something that Frankfurt schools and that those people can talk about. So in this picture that you see, this is the original. People talk about Sepah. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it. Sepah, the Iranian other military, not Iran's official like military. Iran has two military. Sepah in Farsi is a synonym to army, synonym with army, right? But we have a Sepah of revolution, and then we have the army, which is we call Artesh, right? So yeah, so they are both official, but internationally, they know Artesh as Iran's military. Sepah, they know as Sepah. Yeah, IRGC, whatever.
And Sepah can be involved in both domestic stuff, foreign stuff, in terms of fighting or like controlling and blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, you're probably going to talk about this, but they get to run a lot of businesses, right? But like the official army doesn't.
Yeah, Sepah is unofficially Iran's biggest economic force, frankly. Yeah. I mean, you have all these foundations that usually you have people from Sepah going there. It's more of a revolving door situation than stuff, but increasingly Sepah, since Ahmadinejad years, you could argue, became directly involved in like building houses, like social houses. Or doing farming projects or doing and they're famously just like American military industrial complex. Everybody thinks they're corrupt and
but unlike the American military complex, they're not just restricted to military stuff, right? You just talked about housing and all this. Like they invest in all kinds of businesses and
military industrial complex. That's the whole point of military industrial complex. It's not as C. Wright Mill puts it, it's not these men, they go through, I mean, what does he say? He says there are these shadowy men in these gray suits or black suits going to hotels they are from top industries or top military. It's a revolve like the Raytheon.
Oh no, for sure. I just kind of meant, but the Raytheon guy and all these, they're concerned with like guns and gun sales and weapon sales, right? So of course, maybe Raytheon does some investment somewhere else with their, extra money for stocks or something. But my point is that the Sepah, no, they don't just like, make their money from military equipment or guns and all this. They just invest and do all kinds of businesses.
No, but
in
it
Iran.
Is mostly that though.
I see,
it is.
Okay.
I would think. I mean, they're more.
I remember hearing, like, for instance, the Uber app. Sorry, the Uber app in Iran.
Yeah,
like my understanding was like they invested bigly in that, if I'm not mistaken.
That's the thing, though. I worked for the CEO of that company that you're talking about, and look, there was a deal made with somebody who was in Sepah, but it wasn't a Sepah organization.
I see.
Or Iran Cell, the biggest Iranian telecom. Everybody believes it is backed by Sepah, but I mean, it's not exactly the military itself. It's people from there, though. It's it's from Sepah military, not the official military. And I would say, though, I would add this, probably, and I would think this is the most likely. Experts can disagree, though. Is their income comes mostly from drug trafficking. Or trafficking. It is fascinating. Like as you know, satellite dish is illegal in Iran. Everybody has it, right? But the people who sell you the satellite dish are usually themselves are low-level Sepah members. Like it's the illegal black market. The black market in Iran is so organized, is so much more organized than the actual market. It's so it is smuggling and mostly drugs because of Afghanistan and all. But this is the current Sepah, right? But Sepah didn't start overnight. Sepah started during Shah era, if anybody knows the history. And Sepah really came about when the oil, look, was Shah a puppet? What is a puppet? Is puppet somebody like they call and say, you do this and they do that? Was Gaddafi a puppet or was not? Gaddafi changed sides how many times? I believe 50 times, from Arabs to Africans to Europeans to freedom to democracy to socialist. I'm Arab again, I'm African. Don't look at me now. I'm changing. That type of thing.
Yeah.
Shah should be viewed very much in the same line as Gaddafi and that type of thing. People who change. Shah was after World War II, when Shah is originally put in place, he was a complete puppet. Not just a complete puppet, he didn't want to rule. He's just completely, I don't want this. Like, I neither want this. And what happens?
So when they made him take his dad's place.
Exactly. When the British made him to take, he was a complete constitutional monarch in its truer sense. What happens is that increasing foreign influence and infighting, in Iran especially, it's more infighting. Different groups try to drag the king into the game. They try to drag him in the game. And in 1953 coup, he's a side player at best, right? He's brought in pretty much by force. Americans basically tell him, you either sign this or we put your brother in place. He's brought in. Then from 1953 to 1960s and stuff, you have Eisenhower. During Eisenhower, he's still a puppet, right? He's still a puppet, but Eisenhower is not that much of a puppet. He's not that interested in Iran or foreign policy or anything. He's interested in just playing golf or something. So, he's not really that much of a, forceful president. So again, he's just that era. He's sort of a semi-puppet, semi-autocrat. Not really. There is powerful people in Iran. Is still post 53. We are talking. Then you have the Nixon and Kennedy years, and those are very important. Nixon gives Shah full power, treats Shah like a complete partner, equal, and then Kennedy completely treats Shah oppositely. Almost forces Shah to have certain reforms. And these all have huge influence. This is 60s. And then at the end of 60s, you have the Arab-Israeli war. And then you have Shah asserting his influence because the oil money now is coming in. And then mid-60s onwards, when oil money starts kicking in. And then early 70s, where the oil money just completely, it's just I think it reaches 100. I don't forget. It reaches the highest it had ever reached because Arabs started blockading any country that cooperated with Israel, right? Then Shah becomes a complete bully towards the West. If he's not a puppet, there is interviews. I forgot to put up that interview. There is a famous interview with him telling people how blue-eyed people need to learn from brown-eyed people now. There is a famous interview with him saying that how media is extremely biased towards Israel. He talks about you put articles in the computer and you see what the computer tells you. Is it in favor of Israel or is it not in favor of Israel? So to take Shah as, somebody who ruled the country for 45 years and take him just as puppet or it's childish. I'm sorry. He was not some fucking South American, second-rate dictator. He was like Gaddafi level, Putin level, we're talking, not that level of human being is a great human being. It's just it's a different level.
Yeah.
Right. Then as I mentioned, in early 70s, late 60s, we have this big inflow of money. So what he puts in place is a program that is largely called White Revolution. Part of that White Revolution is army of education. And as you see here, this army, it was conscription. Conscription was compulsory for everyone, including females.
Really?
It becomes compulsory for females. My mom was, my mom did it. Yeah, yeah. But it was like
I've never
Finland
heard
or
of that.
Yeah, yeah. Conscription was, and they are think. By the way, right now, a lot of people in the police and in Iranian Sepah are saying we should bring it back for the females. But but the argument, my mom didn't go to do. They did a tiny bit of military training, but it was she did like she taught, but she had masters, so she went and taught somebody. Like Finland or Sweden, you can do office work, you can do social work.
And so this isn't Sepah. So this isn't Sepah. This is the Iranian army.
This is Sepah. No.
Oh, this is Sepah. Okay.
This is called Sepah of Danesh, or in Army of Knowledge. These were like people, they were sent all around Iran, rural areas. People think Iran is just deserts. Iran is very rugged. The problem, it's very hard to have roads. There are many remote places and all that. So what happens in 60s and in 70s in Iran is there is this huge inflow of money. And this inflow of money allows for the expansion of education system, for the expansion of the healthcare system, for the program that when there is army of health. And that one, they had to provide food for all school children up to 8th grade. So until they're 15 years old, they would get food. Also, any child that is drinking, like in a, what do they call, they're still breastfeeding or need to drink milk, and their mothers would be all get free food. So this was all part of this White Revolution program. Also, you can go to the Wikipedia page. Now you can go down, go to reforms. This is the White Revolution. This is the revolution that Shah put in place. So in the land reforms, this was the biggest part of the revolution and probably the part they fucked up the most. But this was still, it was, so they did land reforms. What they did was they would buy the lands at market price from landowners. They sell them to the peasants for below market price
30%
by 30%, yeah, with loans from government. With loans from government. What this was hugely good. And by the way, nationalization of forest and pasture, there is huge push for environmental protections in the north, in the south. Famously, people can check out Ramsar Treaty is a treaty to protect waterways, not waterways, shallow water, something like that. I forget.
But this seems like this land reform, though, you didn't like it too much. It seems like
the problem with
like
this
a decent
land
thing,
reform,
and I think in Iran, I'm guessing like everywhere else, there have been many land reforms over the past century, because otherwise, like, there's just so
in Iran
concentrated. Only in Iran.
Their land reforms are actually not that common in historically speaking, and in Iran it hasn't happened that often either. That's I mean,
but like over the past, like his dad didn't do it as well, like in the 30s and 40s. Okay.
No. His dad, like, that's the thing. What his dad did was like he went around and like the biggest feudal lords had them sign over the land to himself. What happened? But look, when you don't have an industrial plan, everything becomes shit. When you don't have an industrial plan, you do this. So you buy the land from the feudal lords, you force them to sell it to you at market price, you sell it to the farmers below the market price with loans, with virtual zero interest rates, right? You do that for a while. But when you don't have an industrial plan and all these individual farmers are doing their own thing, maybe 1 year, 2 years it's good, maybe 3 years it's good. It's an issue we still have to do this today. We still have to this day, because farming in Iran is still extremely just it's haphazardly done. Basically, there is no planning, there's no industrial plan. So what happens is that a lot of them fail. So then all these foundations backed by these banks and the royal family, especially the corrupt members like Shah's sisters, all these foundations started coming in and buying up the lands or repossessing the land. And then by mid-70s, Nixon had to go off the gold standards, and then that meant much higher inflation for the third world. The oil revenues started to dry up because the Arab relations with the Americans became better, number of other reasons. So all these things basically meant that this system was not sustainable, because this is a subsidized system basically. Shah was subsidizing system heavily, and expectation was growth, right? So the revolution happens when the revenues stop, and when you don't have an industrial plan, you can't sustain this. And then
so your main criticism really is, for this one specific point, lack of planning, which is
the criticism historical economists put forward is that basically Shah overheated the economy by putting too much money, too much liquidity into the economy too fast in early 70s. And that's really, and there was a lot of idiotic, Shah was he was we want a best, most modernized factory for onions. And then there is a anecdote, they say, sorry sir, but if we build for onion factory here, there is no onions here, the onions are onions are down the valley. And he says we just get an airplane to get it up there. He was just such a he was living in his own fantasy in a way. So he was many things, but he was not a puppet, I wouldn't say. And
I see. Very extremely interesting stuff. And so how would you link all this to kind of the points that these two ladies would have? Is there anything else to say?
So to say literacy rates everything went up following 1970s in Iran. And the reality is, if it wasn't for the Islamic Republic, a standard of life and equality and freedom, social freedoms would have been higher. The reality is, Shah was very much, if we want to find a comparison to Shah, he would have been very much like South Korean or Japanese systems. That's what would have happened in Iran. And that's, or maybe a bit less, a bit shittier than them, somewhere between Russia and Japan or something. But the Islamic Republic led to, and right now especially, there is, because it's summer, and usually in summer this happens, there's a lot of clashes between people over hijab. That, for example, you say hijab is not that.
No, I didn't say that. She said.
Oh, sorry, she said hijab is not that important. But there was a video recently in a bus in Iran when there is a lady with the hijab telling some other lady that, oh, your hijab is not correct, and the lady loses it. And I'm so happy, man. People in the bus all loses it, and they're like, fuck you, you destroyed our country for 30 years. Why can't you fuck off your beliefs or shit, blah, blah, and kick her out of the bus, literally. And the bus stop kicked the religious lady out. Jeez. There is another one in a street saying, I'm gonna call 911, your hijab is not right. Like Karen, religious Karen, basically. And then the lady takes her video out, she's filming and call the police. People are fed up, man. It's fucking 40 degrees. It's like every day telling you, like, no, you have to wear a uniform. Why? Because there is 12 men whose average age is 60 years old and themselves dressed like wizards from medieval times. They believe your hair shouldn't be out. You know? But at the same time, I would add, in Iran, hijab in many ways is more relaxed than most of the Islamic world.
For sure. I'm sure most people have seen what Iran hijab is like.
No, but the thing in like, if
this is like the typical, this is like,
that's the typical
how people would
like
look. Anybody who wants to dress like this,
scarf.
That's, of course, these are very religious.
That's you see, that's like not that often. But no, my
things
point,
like this is very
the thing about
common.
Iran, I would say though, like in Turkey, where hijab is choice, right? Hijab is a choice. When you see a Muslim lady, she's like, she puts the hijab properly. Or in Arab countries, if you're an Arab lady, in some of them you have to put the hijab on. Like, but if you're a foreigner, it's a choice. In Iran, foreigner, Iranian, whatever, it's the same. And to be honest, you the ladies you showed, you don't see them as often as you see proper Muslims in other, like in Pakistan, you see more proper Muslims than in Iran. It's so weird. But
I mean, anecdotally, I've spoken to this like so many times. I mean, I met so many more religious people from my social class once I moved to Dubai compared to Iran. I mean, in Iran, I didn't know one, and it even surpassed social class. Like, you know, there were different people, lower social classes, and they weren't religious at all. The ones that I frequented and knew, and you know,
no, it's the religiosity in Iran is completely different concept. It's more. It's much more, again, it's much closer to Orthodox or Protestantism. It's not really, but anyway, my point was that I understand hijab is not the biggest issue for women.
No, but fair enough. In the summer, having this on your head, so women would have to wear some kind of jacket vest, and they have to put this. But Sam, you didn't bring up
that it below that like goes below like
your knees by far. Yeah, no,
not knees.
Below your knee. Yeah, for sure.
No, not nowadays.
Oh yeah.
No, nowadays you can wear like a male. Yeah. It's been relaxed a lot.
And when you go skiing, you can put a beanie on. Did you know that? Like,
of course, beanie. Yeah, or you can put all the time. People put a cap on and walk these days. Especially younger generation. You see a lot of girls with like they are wearing their boyfriend's T-shirt, you know, or you know the large.
They're so much more relaxed with this. So
they don't want to see the shape of women's leg base. That's like their main thing, I think.
But now they're so much more relaxed to it. Like, you know, my dad has a shop in Iran, right? And you know where it is. And when I was a kid, late 90s, so from like 98 to 2002, I would spend every day there. I used to love it. And back then, like the comité, so like the police that are concerned
with the committee,
they were there every day. Like every day they were there, and they would pick up people with a bad hijab, and they would put them in the van and take them. But anytime I've been back, now you don't find them there. I know other places they are, but back then, like every single day in the late 90s, they would come to that specific area, and they would just, you know, pick up anybody who they thought weren't wearing the hijab properly.
I would say that I remember that Jordan was near my house too. Like there's an area in Tehran called Jordan after American architect, by the way. And
really? That's where the name comes from.
Yeah, it's an American. Yeah, I mean, nowadays it's called Nelson Mandela Boulevard. It's changed. No, I mean, it's changed so many names, and it's so funny because there is signs still in Tehran that says Jordan that way. Then you go there, it says it's called Africa Boulevard, and then you drive further down, it says Welcome to Nelson Mandela Boulevard. So I don't know what to call it by. But anyway, but that place and the place your father's shop is in a very famous sort of a what do you call it? Shopping mall. Like
there are two malls. There are two malls in front of each other, and then so people come and hang out. That place is
famous. Like that was that was, as they say, that was a spot.
For sure. But Jordan is also a spot. It's just
exactly. Jordan and that like comité, like 60% of their business was done in these two areas. Like, you know what I mean? Like 90% of people they caught was from in these two.
But Sam,
but I also,
go ahead. I'll make a
just a funniest story. Just right now, though, you said about businesses, and you said, you know, they would always be there. Because when it's summer, it becomes a big issue because women start dropping their shawl. So these religious people come out, our society is becoming Westoxified. Jordan Peterson likes. Then what happens is that they start pushing, and then you have governmental state bodies which are like, they want to make money. So it was so funny, man. You had the head of Iranian banking yesterday said that if we don't, because they're under pressure not to serve ladies with bad hijab, and the head of Iranian banking like came out and said, if we start not serving women with bad hijab, our economy might be compromised. So and that was, by the way, headline newspaper in Iran. So this is the ridiculousness of the country. So Yeah, it
No,
was so
fair
funny though. Yeah, sorry guys, banking wise, they have a lot of money. Like, okay, when you enter the bank, you can drop the hijab. It's okay.
Oh, seriously. But Sam, we also, as men's rights activists, no, I'm joking.
Of course.
But men also have limitations in how they can dress in Iran, at least when I was there. So one is a tie is not looked upon very well by the Islamic Republic, at least before,
changed.
maybe now. Men can't really wear shorts and go outside. And I don't think men can wear tank tops either. So these are 3 restrictions that men have, if I'm not mistaken.
You're 100% correct.
Okay, sorry about that. But yes, Sam, so I was mentioning tank tops and stuff like that before as we wrap up this segment.
I would like to point something out. That's a very short. Tank tops are obviously not allowed. Shorts are still not allowed. Ties are, like, there was a time you would, like, if you wore a tie, you were basically a foreign agent. But it's not. No, nowadays, like, a lot of artists on TV, they wear tie and stuff.
Really?
Yeah. It's becoming. It's much more normal.
Where did they get this tie thing? They just said it's very Western, like from the beginning.
It's a very Western, because traditional Iranian mullah clothing, the clergy don't have collar, don't have this. So I mean, I guess, but I mean, it's all cultural signifiers, which means it's all bullshit. So what was I going to say? Oh, and just to say that there may be sometimes parallels between some things that Islamic Republic did and ISIS. In the beginning of the revolution, if you wear short sleeves t-shirts, they would catch you in university and they would paint your arm. They would paint your arm.
I've never heard that story. This was very beginning, I'm guessing.
Well, this went on for the first 8 years.
Yeah. Okay. So in the 80s,
yeah. So, and then like if you had a t-shirt with, let's say, like any symbolism, even like Adidas and stuff, in the beginning of the revolution, it was that, it was that level of, even though I would say in the first 2 years of the revolution, let's not forget, in the first 2 years of the revolution, hijab is not compulsory. In fact, the first time they tried to make hijab compulsory, women's come out in the streets and the religious clergy backs off. Khomeini comes out and says, no, we just meant it for offices. And then after 2 years later, when they have enough power, then they do it. So the first 2 years, it's not compulsory. Then it becomes compulsory, and then it's very harsh. Like famously, they would show up, like if you were in a school with a tie, they would cut it with a scissor, or they would cut your hair if you had long hair. Like if you had an afro or something, they would cut it off.
But from the 90s, I remember they were fine. Like a lot of people had ponytails and stuff. They were
from 90s.
That was like a lot.
Ponytails,
but the tie, I remember, like you would never. And I remember the first time I realized that you can't wear a tie, I was like, oh, true. Like my dad pointed out, like there was this one guy running in the street, and like he looked all like fancy, and he had a tie on. He's like, oh look, he also has a tie on. I was like, oh, true. They're not into ties.
It's a very fancy. It was, for me, it was very schizophrenic, because in summer school in UK they made us wear tie, and then in Iran they made us not wear tie.
Listen, the tie is not that important, people. Have you heard Joe Rogan is also anti-tie? His reasoning is the stupidest. He's like, why would I wear something around my neck that someone can choke me with? What kind of world you live in? By the end, why would I go on the street when someone can run over me with their car? I mean, that level. And plus, if someone knows how to choke you with a tie, they can choke you other ways too. Take it easy, Joe. Take it easy.
As a film, lover and aficionado of action movies, I am a huge fan of, like, I must say that has been a big fantasy of mine. Sometimes I walk around the house, I imagine like somebody's not paying attention and I use my tie to suffocate them. But yeah, you're right, it can be turned reversed.
He thinks about it that way.
But I like to think that I've reached sort of a synthesis, not like tie. I'm doing loose tie, so I'm not Iran fully. I'm not British fully. I'm just some loose tie. It's a synthesis of thesis and antithesis.
And Joe Rogan might be fine with that too, because maybe you can argue to him that since it's loose, as soon as someone grabs it, you can get a hand in there and then fight them off. So I think Joe Rogan will be happy with that.
It's a weapon, truly. Like I'm facing an enemy, and my loose tie, I just open it up and use it like a whip.
So I guess a lot of people are very opinionated when it comes to ties.
Ties seem to be very. I remember when David Cameron became I think he was the first prime minister, or maybe it was Tony Blair, that didn't wear a tie, and people are like, oh, he's like the cool prime minister. He's like, I didn't know ties are that's like they can change your personality.
That's too funny. Yeah, Love, Death Plus Robots should do a video where like an episode where like ties take over the world or something.
True. The tie hegemony.
But nice. Any final points here on the story? That we got a lot out of this.
Yeah, we got a lot out of it. But I wouldn't like to know what Esha was actually gonna say if Katie ever gets a chance.
All right, Sam, we had a lot of fun with that. Unfortunately, it's time to move on. But we'll see if we can come back to it one way or another tomorrow. But yeah, let's move on to Erdogan. So I don't think we're going to talk here specifically about Erdogan and Putin's trip to Iran, but rather how it concerns Syria, right? Which was the topic of the trip.
Actually, no, I was going to kind of leave that for the end. First, talk about... Yeah. I thought first of all, it didn't get that much coverage. I was surprised. Foreign Policy didn't even have an article on it. They had their morning briefing had something on it, which I sent to Russia and Iran seek to Turkey out of Syrian incursion.
Yeah.
Which is almost the exact title, I think, Guardian. But so Putin came over, Erdogan came over, and they met with Raisi's. They met with Supreme Leader,
really?
Which is quite that's more important. And Supreme Leader came out supporting the Putin's war. Like he basically said that if you hadn't attacked, the other side would have attacked. So we congratulate your situational awareness. I don't know, I don't know how to translate it. Sorry, bye. But so he came very much in support of Putin. With Erdogan, Supreme Leader said that we consider Turkey's borders just like our own borders, but any military activity by Turkey that would go into Syria would be bad for Syria, Turkey, and the region as a whole. So, very general sort of, stuff like that. So Iran is basically moving significantly to the, Russian camp, it seems, more overtly. For Iran, I must say, this is for Iran, and I would say China to an extent, this is quite unusual. Iran is always officially, even if in their heart, like a lot of people wrote that, Iran, was it net price, American, a spokesperson for a state department, he said that, it shows that Iran's saying in the beginning that they are very upset about the war in Ukraine, that was dishonest. Now, Supreme Leader saying that, we support Putin or whatever. And then I was like, yeah, motherfucker, what do you think this is? Like, again, like this, like, so Iran is usually officially, they don't take a side. Like, even with Israel and Palestine, Iran to this day, they're like, they should have a referendum with Palestinians. Like, they don't even specify by Palestinians if they mean refugee Palestinians should be counted or not, which is like the biggest issue when it comes to if you want to have a referendum. So it's quite surprising, but it does signal a stronger alliance. And Russia announced a major cooperation with Iran in oil, the biggest foreign investment in Iran, I believe, in terms of just value of money, not inflation adjusted. So, yeah. So that was big. I love how Raisi, our president, is also allowed to hang out. It's so funny, man. This guy is such a non-entity. He's kind of like Biden, but if Biden was always like, it's just like he was such a, as they say in Persian, such a gagul. You know, he's just like, oh, hello, how are you? Yeah, Middle East. I know Middle East. I understand politics for sure. Yeah, like, I mean, he's just, yeah.
How much would someone have to pay you to take a photo like this, holding hands with two people like this? What's your price for this move?
Which two people are we talking?
Anyone. I don't care. Anyone. Even if it's my parents, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, no, exactly. But look at Raisi's face. He's so happy. He's like, look at, I'm a serious leader. No, you're not. But I must say, it does. I feel worst here for Putin than the other. I must say, Putin must be, man, what am I doing with my life? Why?
No, like, but they got to meet the supreme leader. So
supreme leader is cool, but Raisi and Erdogan, like, you know, like one hillbilly basically ran away from an Anatolian farm and became and the other one is basically like, I don't know. Raisi is just, he's like Ford, you know, the American president famous for just the food. Like, it's nothing. It's everything. Like, they have him in interviews and he talks about lunch. It's just, it's the weirdest thing. Yeah, it's like, I don't know what to say. It's not bad even. It's like Kamala. He's like Kamala Harris. Like, yeah, you know, we thought this issue was settled, but the Palestinian issue is settled, but it's not. So we live in unsettled issue time. It's like, okay, man, whatever. Erdogan, but I felt bad for my boy Erdogan a bit, because I felt he was a bit sort of outnumbered, and I feel like they were doing a pincer move on him.
Yeah, kind of 2v1, right? When it comes to Syria, 2v1. Right?
Yeah. Now that's a perfect, I think, place to go. Yeah, into talk about Syria and stuff. So yeah, basically, it's not clear what is Russia's position is, but they say both Russia and Iran were saying that they don't support Turkish increased involvement, although. And I would like to add, this was not reported in foreign news. I heard it on Iranian news. On his way back to Turkey, Erdogan said that they are still, he said a very political sentence that, yes, it's still an option. But Iranian opposition to Turkey is a big deal for them. You know, but for Iran, to be honest, as a lot of people put it, that's what I want to. For Iran, it's a win-win if they attack or if they don't attack. If they attack, if they don't attack, so the status quo remains, and Iran is trying to bring. Iran is trying to do is bring Kurds and the Bashar Assad government closer to reach a deal, right? To reach a sort of a umbrella government, whatever, right? If they don't attack, Iran can continue with its project, Iran's presence, blah, blah, blah. If Turkey attacks them, Turkey will attack not PKK, they will attack YPGs, which is the Kurdish part that was collaborating with Americans or allowed for American presence, and may have allowed for some of it to this day now. So Iran wouldn't be too worried about, you know what I mean? Like, it's Turkey against America as far as they're concerned. They don't care too much. Furthermore, it forces Kurds to further come closer to Iran and Bashar al-Assad in face of Turkish invasion. So again, they can capitalize on that. So for Iran, it's a win-win, really, if Turkey attacks or not. Russia is a bit unclear, and Russia still have its own deals with wheat, and they said after the Syria issue, the whole wheat grain issue is the biggest issue they're going to talk about, the one from the Ukraine grains that are going to go. So yeah,
I see.
Yeah,
but knowing Erdogan, I mean, and you know, their concern, I mean, his government and Turkey's concern with with Kurds. I mean, I'm definitely guessing that they're gonna not let this go easily and probably attack northwest Syria. Try to take. They want to take over, right? Do they want to take that part of the land, or what do they want to do?
Oh yeah. Well, look, what they say they want to do is that they want to, they want to stop terrorists' activities right outside their borders that collaborate with terrorists within their borders. But there has been a number of cases where Turkey has just, taken over villages of Syria and then basically started issuing passports, putting off Turkish flags. And there is a Turkmenistani, and Turkmenistani is actually very different from Turkish, but whatever. Turkmenistani minority. It's not very different. It's like a type of Turk, I guess. Minority in Syria. And in a way, in the same way that Iranians kind of view the whole Middle East as sort of their father's inheritance or something. Turkey has the same thing, especially with Syria. All these places were Ottoman. So to a lot of Turks, this is like rightfully theirs. I'm not again justifying, I'm just explaining their mindset.
I mean, that's a historical one, but also currently, I mean, Turkey was so involved in Syria that that they probably want something. They want something more.
I mean, of course. And Turkey never had good relations with Hafez al-Assad before Bashar, although Erdogan has had better until the civil war. But so Turkey is definitely, I would say, they wanna basically conquer Syria and other places. And I think that's a good time to go to that Washington Post article, because this was a news that I was very surprised didn't break any. Like it wasn't, I didn't see it any major foreign things in any major foreign news outlets.
I mean, this is from yesterday, but I mean, yesterday I was watching Al Jazeera and all this, and the wildfires in Spain dominated quite a bit of broadcast.
Europe is burning, by the way. Forgot about it.
They're saying 500 people died in Spain, although, I mean, I don't know if it's directly from those wildfires or also from heat. But that's the number that they're putting out there.
Oh, wow.
But
well, there was Turkey also had missile strikes in Iraqi Kurdistan, which led in Iranian things they reported 9 Iraqi tourists, which were not, according to the reports, were all Arabs. They weren't Kurds. They died. But Turkey and Iraq is threatening to cut off relations with Turkey over this. Although
really?
Iraq, right?
Yes,
and both even the central government of Iraq, not just the Kurdistani autonomous government. And I would add that Iraq right now is going through its own turmoil. There is a Shia on Shia conflict. People who might be familiar, Muqtada Sadr Mehdi's army is in a fight right now with al-Maliki, who was a former prime minister, Shia prime minister. So I don't know how much Iraqi government is in complete disarray. But this could escalate. So Turkey, I mean, look, Turkey views Iraq and Syria as lost land. So it's for them, it's just a matter of when are we going to return this. And frankly, I think unless Arabs start coming up with better militaries, they're gonna take because this is Arab countries' militaries are really awful. By the way, this was so funny. It reminded me of the KT Halper video. Rabaya at some point is like, Yemen, people know there is no military solution in Yemen. I mean, okay. I don't know if you know this, but in 70s, Jamal Abdel Nasser, not 70s, 60s or 50s, Jamal Abdel Nasser sends, I don't know, Egyptian troops, and 50,000 died, they get killed. And everybody in the audience was like, oh, not the Egyptian troops. Oh my God, the army that is defeated by everybody.
And they have the biggest and They have like the
They are
biggest
like the
Arab
strongest
army.
of
Yeah.
Arab armies. They are the strongest of Arab armies, and they are literally like nothing. Like like almost like 3 people from France once defeated the whole Egyptian army. It's like ridiculous.
Saudi Arabia is like, wait, hold on. Our army combines Pakistani labor power with US weapons, so don't talk shit.
With American technology and Sudanese expertise.
So the Saudis might have something to say. They have a nice coalition when it comes to their army.
Yeah, man, the Egyptian army. Oh no, the Egyptian army lost the war. What a surprise! I mean, seriously, name a war that the Egyptians have won.
I mean, I don't know much, so I don't know.
Like, yeah, the closest thing you can find is when Muhammad Ali was like governor of Ottomans and kind of made Egypt independent for like 2 days, and then I think a bunch of Italians defeated him. Italians, I tell you, Italians, like Venetians and shit, like people who like Persians, whose natural inclination to war is basically they're allergic to war. They can't, they literally can't do it. So they need to get their shit together. Basically. That's otherwise Turkey or Iran, because Iran, again, I remind people, we have a high number of Turks, which you will not be able to stop.
Yeah. That is very true. But concerning Iraq, though, I thought they were politically, you hear that they heading into the right directions and things like this.
Iraq?
Yeah. I mean, in general, for what Iraq went through, I feel like right now it's not as big as a mess as it should possibly be in a way, but I don't follow it too closely.
It's very much like the days just before ISIS emerged right now. So it's not really that good. No. Yeah, there especially in summers because of the heat and all that. It gets
electricity
bad.
Cuts probably.
Yeah, and there are all these leaks of audio tapes of different Shia leaders talking shit about each other, and it's not good.
But this is pretty. But so this Turkish Israeli strikes a crowded tourist resort, and again, talking about last time we were talking about the accuracy of strikes and things like that. I wonder if Turkey were going for this area, they're like, sorry, our target was about 150 kilometers to the west. Let us come back with the drone. Give me 10 minutes. I'll come back with a drone. We're much more accurate. I just need 5 minutes to find the remote for the drone, and damn, poor people. Okay, so let's go back here. What else do we have?
So nothing much, to be honest. The 3
none of these articles we discussed them.
No, we don't need to really go into it. I just wanted to show that we did do research. But so
brilliant.
We did read these and they were shit. I mean, they were not okay.
Nothing informative here.
There was a tiny controversy, which I'm not sure real or not, but there was a bit where there was apparently 2 years ago, there's a bit where Putin makes Erdogan wait for him, like standing up next to a chair when people are taking pictures. I remember something vaguely along those lines, but I'm not sure. But anyway, this time Erdogan did the same to Putin. So there is this video going viral of Putin just standing waiting for Erdogan, and he's just, I don't understand, why doesn't he sit? There are 2 chairs. Just sit. When he comes, you stand up again and you shake his hand. And and the whole time he's doing this thing with his mouth. He's doing.
He's like, should I fuck him up right here? I can't.
It's so. I swear to it's so.
He's like, should I take him down right now?
Man, the Erdogan and Putin going at it. Putin is short but bulky. Erdogan tall, lanky, but has a. You can tell he's got a bull power. Or
no, really, no. I think Putin would mess him up.
Putin would mess him up, but it would
and
be,
he's older.
It would be fun.
Is Erdogan older? He looks older at least here.
He looks old, especially here with the neck.
Yeah.
No, it's
Yeah,
but it would be a. I
do
feel
that
like
all the time.
Erdogan has that, farm power.
Yeah,
that
you
some
think so?
people,
But I didn't know that
they
background of
speak-
his at all.
I don't know if he's from a farm. I'm just assuming from his. Yeah,
Oh, really?
I don't know any of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
don't
see
know.
him more as an
He's
old
from a-
freckled man. I don't really get that vibe from him.
I've seen his videos on horses. He does he does a lot of like Turkish traditional shit. So I have that he has a vibe of a man who Jean Valjean just picks up a wagon off of somebody or something.
I don't know. That's funny. I don't get that vibe at all from him. But yeah. Okay, so should we move on to your favorite topic?
Yes.
All right, Sam, let's move on. Let's move to Europe and our last two stories. So yeah, what's the latest in the UK? I'm just gonna play the video here in the background. People can see these the two front runners now to become Prime Minister of the UK.
So yeah, Rishi Sunak, who you can see right now, and Liz Truss, who just came on, and you can see them both. They made it to the final round of the Conservatives election, and they're gonna be the two candidates that all of the members, not just the parliamentarians, they get to choose between. And Rishi Sunak is considered to be on the left of the Conservatives. I mean, and Liz Truss is on the right. The main difference in their policies being that Rishi Sunak is saying that we need to not cut taxes so we can keep our social security services at the same level that it has been. Liz Truss is saying that we should cut taxes. Interest rates are low. We need to borrow money and fund the cut. So cut taxes or not cut taxes. Nobody's talking about nobody's talking about increased investment and all that. Yeah, and Liz Truss is favored to win because between the parliamentarians, Rishi Sunak is more popular, but Liz Truss is more popular with the grassroots members, and she's in the Boris Johnson camp. But oh my god, they did my girl got stabbed. Penny Moriarty. Yeah, Penny was the one who was trying to she was trying to be the one in the choice in between. So as many times happens when you try to stay in the middle of the road, you get run over. She got run over, and they really did her, man. In the debates they were going after her and stuff. Yeah, and it was so funny. Like the conservative debates, I might say, I do enjoy them. So like there's one bit where Penny more doubts whatever is like, I am the only candidate who can win against Labour, and then everybody else, Liz Truss, Tom Tugendhat, and everybody just starts laughing in their face, and they're like, haha, that's not true. They keep saying it. And the moderator doesn't intervene. It's not like American ones. It's a bit better. And she's like, I'm the only one, and they're like just literally, ha, no, you're not. She's fucking, yeah, they destroyed her. So, and fairly so, they all suck. But Liz Truss, Jesus Christ, Liz fucking Truss. I mean, oh my God, again, like, this is just the worst. Like, she's the representation of the worst kind of incompetence and reactionariness within Britain. And at least, I mean, it's so Rishi Sunak, fucking basically a robot that was made in a Goldman Sachs lab or something, is like better. I not that better, but they both suck. I mean, Liz Truss has better company, I would say, but I mean, not really.
So
Nadine
this is
Dorries,
what it's
Jesus
coming
Christ.
down.
What it's coming down to like hell or hellfire. Yeah.
Man, I so didn't see this whole thing coming though whatsoever. I mean,
which part?
The whole Boris Johnson having to, quit and all this.
Me too. Yeah, I didn't see that.
That
I mean,
was
especially
really
after
one.
Partygate.
Yeah.
Fucking pincher. And for what? For groping men. We are talking about like British, established, like all, like I believe when you become MP, like it's like part of the requirements, you have to rape a child. That's like literally one of the, and then what? Pincher, fucking pincher. Anyways, I mean,
you.
Yeah. But
oh yeah, forgot about Sri Lanka. Anything that you would like to mention about Sri Lanka?
Well, from what I understand, Sri Lanka is, I'm just saying, I think, guys, be careful, because basically they had three candidates for the new presidency.
Yeah.
One of them was the former prime minister, who was an ally of the president. This guy, he was elected president, and he did a speech saying that he will not stand for fascist protesters, quotation marks, and he will not stand for unlawful protest. So, I mean, look, it could go two ways. Either he's going to be a dictator for 20 years, or during the next week we see him hang from a post or from a tree or something.
I was gonna say that as they saw, they're just gonna walk up to your house, use your gym first, make a few eggs, and then get to your room,
and then stuff you with with a bunch of paper, just literally skin you alive, and then stuff it. Like, I mean, and frankly, if somebody is that fucking arrogant, I kind of feel like at that point, like, I'm sorry, but even I hate mob rule, mob mentality, all that. But sometimes, like, you give mob no choice but to really.
Yeah. Well, I guess maybe he found out that, the naval base is the easy way to hide. So I think he knows now better how to escape. He's okay. For sure, leave the house as soon as something happens.
Maybe he's come to understanding with many military people, but it was very odd to me that how defiant they were in face of, because it was like, we talk about protests and stuff. They literally, like, there was a bit, like, there was metal barricades built, people together as one picked it up, pushed the military back. So I don't think it's time, guys, it's time to negotiate. I don't know if you've taken the hint.
But don't be too cocky.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Sri Lankan politics. Maybe it was extremely, like, sometimes the corruption is extremely focused on one individual. Like, they say all the, like, even you can say prime minister was trying to tell them not to do this.
But like, when you listen to, at least, how on TV they were just like interviewing all these protesters here and there, every single one of them would mention that, him also out.
Yes. I mean, I mean, look, I'm just trying to cover my bases. But what balls this man has, I must say, unless he's come to understanding with all the military in Sri Lanka. I mean, he's got good balls there.
I mean, I don't know if that's enough, but yeah.
We'll see if they stay where they are, the balls. But
True that. And finally, Sam, in Italy,
surprise! Italian government fell apart.
But why? Why this time?
Well, it's really weird, because he tried first. He resigned a week ago, Mario Draghi, because one of his laws didn't pass. I forget what law it was, because 5-star move. The 5-star movement. They're like the leftist, but they're leftist, but because it's Italy, add a tiny bit of anti-Semitism. We are leftists, and we also not big fan of Jews. Just like, what does that have to do? Don't worry about it. Just a tiny. But so they didn't support that law being passed. So he became upset, and he was like, I'm resigning. And he resigned. And then the president, acting like the mom of the ceremony here, was like, no, Mario, don't worry about it. Mario.
Yeah, his resignation was rejected.
He's rejected. Come on, Mario, the 5-star loves you. They love you. They don't die. But now, apparently, the tensions are continuing between the, far rights I mean, they say, and Silvio Berlusconi's party, as if Silvio Berlusconi's party is not far right. I don't know what Berlusconi's
In what
party is,
world?
but but the other far rights, they are almost like separatists. You know, they're like northern, like not, they are not really anymore, but you know, their roots is in that.
Yeah.
While the root of Berlusconi is in Mussolini and the lodge, the Freemason lodge, and all that.
So unifying
Mario
more.
Draghi, more Italian, just fascism rather than just northern Italy.
Yeah, I think the north-south split in Italy is like a major big one. I mean, it's no joke.
Because to be fair, northerners are Germans. They are not really. I mean, you look at them. It's so like Italy is one of the. I think Italy was the country that like was most visually to me. I've never seen a country where like the people of a country all like, you know what I mean? Like you go to northern Italy and everybody is almost German, looking tall, 6 foot, you know, look like a Viking with like modern clothing. Then you go, like you start going to cities and stuff. Everybody's like same height as me, you know, like their skin color is brown. So it's so weird. Like
the divide is big in Italy. And actually in the book that I've been reading, The Short History of Germany, I mean, the beginning part is all about the relationship with whatever kind of tribes and stuff were the German and the Romans, and of course fighting and all that. So that very close relation. But and then the South, I mean, the South have such a, at least, you know, the common like thing is they have such a hate for the Northern, and you know, you watch Sopranos and in there they talk about them. They have an Italian guy, and Sopranos is actually really funny. They're like in the Italians in New Jersey, they want to support Colombo because they really like him. But then this guy comes from Italy and he's like, no, I hate Colombo. He's from the north. The Northerns put
Christopher Columbus?
Yeah, Christopher Columbus.
Columbus.
Sorry, saying Colombo. Christopher Columbus, like, oh, they put his nose up to us and all of this. So we hate the Northerners. And they were all really surprised in Jersey, really, of course, hearing about that.
Yeah. He's,
Columbus,
I mean, funnily enough, Christopher Columbus expedition was funded by a Spanish. Just because Italians are. And by the way, like again, like I am very rarely, I think we should judge people that are that in history. Columbus, one of the very few people that definitely was like a psychopath that reached like he was definitely like, I've never Joffrey level, you know, Game of Thrones Joffrey level evil. Like, oh my God, I hate him so much. Like, if I was an Italian, I would try to like distance. I would like genuinely, what's his name? You know, Super Mario is a better representation of Italy than Christopher Columbus. Like, you know,
but people forget exactly that is Italian just because the Spanish had, you know, funded
people forget
his trip.
He's Italian?
Or like,
have you? I mean, if you,
I mean, he's very closely associated though with Spain and stuff, exactly because they were the big, you know, empire back then. And
I feel like if you've been in a approximate vicinity of an Italian, you would know that Christopher Columbus. This is like one of the facts that all Italians like to tell you, that kind of like
true
Iranians
Italians. No, I was more thinking of like others. I was more thinking of like Americans and all this, but very true.
No, I mean, surprisingly, Italian government is in disarray. As we all know, famously, Italians have a very stable government.
Yeah, but now it's been crazy.
Unified.
It's been like since 2015, they've been changing. I guess since I started.
I mean, you had Berlusconi for a couple of years unifying. But exactly. But it's so funny that I mean, Berlusconi, I always forget how much of a Trump before Trump he was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he was the perfect, like, analogy. Like, you know, people say Marine Le Pen, Bolsonaro, whatever. He was just exactly
that is very true.
Guy.
And in his activities too, kind of, right? Like, and he was like also an outward kind of guy and all this. Girls. Yeah. In that,
In front of Queen. Do you remember there was a picture of G20 in front of Queen, and he saw Tony Blair. Tony! Queen is standing right there like, what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. Oh, too funny. But okay, anything else? Any final words?
No, but I'm not I've not very caught up with Italian politics, but
Yeah, me neither. As
I
my comments.
I was reading, and there is nobody they can really put, because Mario Draghi is already a compromise candidate between 5-star and all these right wingers. So I don't know what the fuck are they gonna do. This is ridiculous. Like, they really need to come on, guys, have it like a bit more. You can't have a country that is like divided by because I think in Italy, if you get 2% of the vote, you get to the parliament, and that's why like you have like 360 parties or something. Yeah, it's just, you need to get it together. Seriously.
Yeah, seems like a low threshold. But okay, all right, brilliant stuff. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Please leave your comments, question, criticism down below. Make sure to get to them. If not, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.